Okay, so we all know that feeling, right? You walk past an Abercrombie and Fitch store and bam, you get hit with that smell.
Yeah.
It's like their thing.
It is.
We'll get ready for something a little less pleasant because today's deep dive is going to be a little bit dark. We're talking about Abercrombie and Fitch again, but this time we're looking at some serious accusations against the former CEO, Mike Jeffries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and when I say serious, I mean we're talking sex trafficking, we're talking coercion.
Really?
Yeah, so buckle up.
Okay.
Because I've got a stack of news articles here, and they are detailing some wild stuff.
Okay.
First of all, they're saying that a federal grand jury has officially indicted Jeffries.
Now, that's huge.
Right.
A federal indictment.
That's not nothing.
Yeah. It's not like a little slap on the wrist.
This is a real deal.
It's serious stuff.
So that tells you right there that this is not some, Hollywood gossip rag. This is the real deal. And they mean business. So just to refresh everyone's memory, Jeffries was the CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch from 1992 to 2014.
Right.
Now, the alleged incidents in the indictment allegedly took place between 2008 and 2015.
Okay.
Right in the middle of his, leadership there.
Right in the thick of it.
And we're talking about these really over-the-top events. We're talking England, France, Italy, Morocco, St. Bart's, private jets parties,
wow.
You name it.
The whole 9 yards. It sounds glamorous until you get to the accusations.
Right.
Because they're alleging that Jeffries used his position, his wealth, his power to basically coerce young men into having sex with him.
Oh, wow. So it wasn't just like a lavish lifestyle. This was intentional.
It's giving very much like a casting couch kind of vibe, which is awful.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just Jeffries either.
Okay.
So the indictment also names 2 other men, Matthew Smith and James Jacobson.
Who are they?
So Matthew Smith was actually Jeffries' romantic partner.
Yeah.
And then there was James Jacobson.
And they're saying that Smith was allegedly directly involved in these events, and Jacobson was like a recruiter.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, bringing these young men into this circle.
So like a whole network.
It's giving very much like a whole network underneath this very popular brand.
Wow.
It's crazy. Some of these articles even said that these young men, a lot of them were aspiring models.
Oh, so vulnerable.
Very vulnerable, and they were being given these itineraries that looked like legitimate modeling gigs just to kind of throw them off the scent.
Oh, my gosh. That is so
Can you imagine?
manipulative.
You're like, oh, this is my big break, and then it's like...
Yeah, and then you get there and it's like, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and who are you going to tell?
And what are you going to do?
Exactly.
You're kind of stuck.
And then to make matters worse, these articles are saying that there were non-disclosure agreements involved, too.
Oh, my God.
They really thought this through.
They did.
So if any of these guys wanted to come forward and tell their story, they'd be, legally bound to not say anything.
Oh, that is so awful.
Right.
It's like adding insult to injury.
It really is. And to think that this allegedly went on for years.
Do they know how many men?
Yeah, so one of the articles mentioned that a BBC investigation estimated that over 100 men might have been exploited.
100 men.
Over 100.
That's insane. How does something like that even happen and nobody knows about it?
I know.
How does that get swept under the rug? It makes you wonder, right? How does something like this stay hidden for so long?
Yeah. Did everyone just look the other way for years?
I think it's a little more complicated than that.
Okay.
First of all, these kinds of accusations, they're not easy to prove.
Right.
And on top of that, you have this fear of speaking out against someone like Jeffries.
Oh, totally.
This is a powerful guy with a lot of money.
Yeah. He could ruin your career.
Exactly.
Especially in that industry where it's all about who you know.
Right. You don't want to get blacklisted.
Yeah. And think about it. These guys are young. Maybe they're just starting out.
Totally.
They're probably thinking this is their big break, and if they make Jeffries mad, it's over.
Yeah, you become that cautionary tale.
Exactly.
Don't be like that guy.
Right. And then let's not forget about those NDAs we talked about.
Oh, yeah, those are huge.
It's like, even if you wanted to come forward and say something, you could be sued.
It's like they had all their bases covered.
They really did. It's messed up.
It's really sad, actually. When you think about all the people who might have felt like they had no other choice but to stay silent.
Absolutely. And it breaks my heart because we've seen this before,
Yeah, it's like a tale as old as time.
It is.
Yeah.
A powerful person takes advantage of someone less powerful, and then they use their influence to silence them.
And then those in power wonder why no one ever comes forward.
It's like, hello?
Exactly.
The system is designed to protect people like Jeffries.
Right. And it discourages victims from coming forward.
It's a vicious cycle.
It really is. But what's crazy is that even though it took years for this story to break,
Yeah.
the fact that it did break at all gives me a little bit of hope.
Me too.
Like maybe things are finally starting to change.
Maybe. So where do we go from here?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't
It
it?
really is.
I think the first step is acknowledging that this isn't just an Abercrombie and Fitch problem.
Oh, absolutely.
This is every industry problem.
Okay, so what can we do? I mean, how do we even start to address something this big?
Well, I think it starts with awareness.
Okay.
Like you said, this is a systemic problem.
Right.
And it's going to take a collective effort to change it.
So what can we as, consumers do? I mean, do we just stop shopping at these places?
It's not just about boycotting one brand.
Okay.
It's about being more conscious consumers in general.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, for starters, we need to start asking more questions.
Of the brands.
Yeah, like where are your clothes made? Who's making them?
Oh, okay.
What are your company's policies regarding this kind of stuff?
I see what you're saying.
We can't just buy into a brand's image anymore.
Yeah, like those Abercrombie ads now just feel icky. It's like I can't separate the clothes from what we now know.
Right, and that's a good thing.
It is.
Yeah, it means we're not just passively consuming anymore.
Oh, okay.
We're actually thinking critically about the things we buy and the companies we support.
So it's like we're holding them accountable.
Exactly.
I like that.
And hopefully that leads to real change.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to start somewhere, right?
It does.
Well, this deep dive has been a real eye-opener, I gotta say.
I'm glad.
It's just a good reminder that we can't always believe what we see on the surface.
Right.
Sometimes the truth is a lot darker than we realize.
That's true.
But hopefully by having these tough conversations and by asking these difficult questions, we can start to make a difference.
I think so too. It takes time, but I think we're moving in the right direction.
I hope you're right.
Me too.
Well, that's it for our deep dive into the dark side of Abercrombie and Fitch.
Wow, that was heavy.
It was. But important. We can't just ignore these things.
Agreed.
So until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and most importantly, keep asking questions.